why is it exactly that people say that this lens right here is the best ultra-wide-angle lens for the APS-C system? And if it really is, then how good can it actually be? Well, my friends, in this video right here, we're gonna put the new Sigma 10-80mm f2.8 to the test. And not only that, we'll also be diving into all of the little things that I really love about this lens that might actually make it the best ultra-wide-angle lens for the APS-C system. However, we also need to address the one thing that I simply don't like. So ever since I touched my first ultra-wide-angle lens, ever since I touched my first wide-angle lens, I've kind of been completely hooked on that ultra-wide-angle look. This lens right here is the Sony 10-80mm f4, a highly versatile lens that I've used inside out. And honestly, a fantastic lens. However, with a drawback that I was never a fan of is, of course, the obvious. It's f4, which you know on APS-C is like kind of the equivalent of f6 on a full-frame camera. So it's not like the brightest or most wide-open lens. So when Sigma surprisingly the other day announced the coming of this lens right here, I obviously got really excited, especially given the fact that it's like smaller, I think, and has f2.8. Something that I've been dreaming of that this lens could have, you know, been able to do. All right, so let's start by taking a look at the build quality and what this little lens has to offer. So as you can see, it is really small and lightweight. It comes in at 270 grams, which isn't a lot. And the filter thread is 67 diameter. Do you say that? It's this, this right here.
Not English native speaking, you know.
Now the lens hood has this spring and lever mechanism, which is like, I have not gotten used to it yet, but apparently you just push it down. Yeah, and then it comes off. It has a minimum focus distance of 0.116 meters or 0.381 feet. The manual focus ring, it's electronic and it feels really good and smooth. And then the zoom ring, it also feels really nice. It has some nice, you know, little friction to it. Feels really solid and nice, and as you can see, when you turn it down, the barrel, it pushes out just slightly. So it does change sizes, but just a tiny bit. You see, if we go here, I don't know if catching focus, see now, whoa, it gets a little bit bigger. Now if you take a look at the rear, you can see that this is an all metal mount and there is a little weather sealing there. However, I'm not totally sure that the entire lens is weather sealed, but I did do like I went downtown photography with it. It was like a little bit drizzle and it held up really great, but don't take my word for it, you know. Now, if you see like it mounted on my Sony a6700, you can see that this setup right here is really small and compact. And it's right up my alley when I want to be like stealthy and with a small camera. This setup's super, super nice. And also, if we just take a look at it in comparison to the Sigma 18, oops, sorry, what a professional YouTuber. But if we take a look at it close to the Sigma 18-50mm, this is a fantastic little lens, which is also tiny. Then you can see that it's like a little bit smaller, but it is thicker, more girth in it, but it's a little bit thicker. But so they feel really same. I don't know if there is any difference in the weight on it, but both of these lenses, super nice zoom lenses. All right, so how good is it then actually for photography if we, you know, if we're talking some real talk, you know? Well, as I said earlier, I did take it downtown and just for a little street photography session. I took a whole lot of photos. I think most of them were shot in like f2.8 to f4. That's like the range I was playing most with. And in my opinion, the photos that turned out pretty sharp. If we zoom in here, you can see, I mean, sharp. In Icelandic, we say sharp. We would say skarpt. Icelandic. It's an Icelandic lesson for you. Now, one thing that I've appreciated a whole lot is that Sigma has improved a lot the chromatic aberration. Is that the correct way to say the word? Aberration. The purple fringes on the sides and the edges, it is handling those situations really well in my opinion. And if I say it correctly, then smack the like button. And if I say it incorrectly, then also smack the like button for me. Now for me, the fact that it is 10-18 is something that I appreciate a whole lot. It means that it's really versatile and I have more focal lengths to play around with. And that I enjoy a whole lot because then I'm not stuck on just one prime. Personally, I'm often on the run and gun and I like to have this, you know, being a little bit more versatile with it. So for being an ultra wide angle, this one is flexible and pretty versatile. And if we take a look at some interior photos that I shot with this lens, then you can see that there's kind of like minimum barrel distortions, making it a pretty decent lens and actually a good lens for architecture. And then as you can see here, the vignetting, it's pretty much non-existent. Now I do want to correct myself and add here that there actually is some barrel distortion to be seen at 10mm, but it is like really easily fixed in post-production. And you know, if I'm allowed to be a little bit honest with you, since it's just like me and you here hanging out, it's dark outside, we're having a little bit of cozy, you know. Don't you hit on me right now. I need to, you know, give me a little bit of drink first. I don't know where I'm going with this. Anywho, if it's okay that I'm honest with you, then like the reasons that we just talked about is, in my opinion, what makes this a really good ultra-wide-angle lens. And without a doubt, one of the best ultra-wide-angle lenses that you can get for the APS-C system. Now, they're nowhere near finished. There is more that this lens is packing. The autofocus performance, it's performing really good in, you know, that matter. It's fast and accurate, and it had no problem of following my eye or any of these advanced autofocus thingy that the A7 and A6 700 can do. Performed fantastically. I mean, same level as any of my native Sony lenses that I've had on the Sony A6 700 does. The Sigma, which is a third-party lens, which usually means that the autofocus shouldn't be as good. This one, I see no difference. And as we touched on before, the f2.8 makes this like much better in many more like tricky lighting scenarios, or lower when it's like low light scenarios. Then this one, it's superior to like f4 on a APS-C. Then my friends, for filming and especially for vlogging, it's good. There is like where I think it shines a whole lot. At least like it always depends on what you do with it. But I film a whole lot and then I photograph a whole lot. And when I'm vlogging, I want a lens that is a little bit versatile, so I can get a few different types of shots with it, but also something that can fit my entire face in the frame and some more. And this, like the Sigma 10 to 80mm does that really well, which is fantastic. Also, when you're vlogging, I don't want to have like too heavy of a setup, because you do get a little bit, although I'm really buffed, you know, you get a little bit tired. So having it a little bit smaller, very nice. By the way, real quick guys, then I just want to tell you that I edit all of my photos I take with my phone with my mobile preset pack. It's also what I use to edit all of the photos you see me post on Instagram stories. And if you want to take your smartphone photography to the next level, then this is definitely for you. Now, these presets are incredibly easy to use and specifically designed for phone photography in mind, but of course there is an exclusive tutorial included, which not only show you how to, you know, import the presets and all that, but also giving you guys a little bit of like insight into my workflow when I'm taking the photos with the phone. So in the description there's a link, and thank you so much for your support. And speaking about small, then Sigma says that this is the smallest ultra-wide-angle lens on the market at the moment for APS-C. Pretty sick, you know. And then my friends, if we talk about bokeh, then bokeh is not something that is usually associated with an ultra-wide-angle or wide-angle. You get more bokeh the more compression you have. However, as you can see on the shots here, there is a little bit of those bokeh balls. It's good. So if you like a little bit of bokeh, then you can definitely get it with this. Not bad. Now, is it all good? I don't think that anything is like all perfect. If I could, like, there's one thing that I would be sick if it had, which it hadn't, which like, it's not stabilized. So if you're shooting on a camera like the Sony A6 300 or the A6 400, which are not stabilized cameras, then just keep that in mind. And if it were stabilized, it would be such a clutch, you know. This one here, the 10 to 18 from Sony, it has OSS, so it's optical steady shot, which is super cool, which this one quite frankly does not have, which has been bugging me a tiny bit. But then again, if you do have a Sony A6 700, then it shouldn't really be a big problem, because this one has a 5-axis image stabilization, and you can also use these like newer active stabilization thingies, which punches in a little bit and does like this electronical stabilization. And because this is so wide angle, you can afford losing a little bit of that crop for more stabilization. So do I recommend this lens? Then absolutely. But before you go and buy it, then I think that you need to see how it performs in a real life scenario. So next, my friend, take a look at this video, because here I'm downtown shooting a whole lot using it.